Good evening. We live tonight with I am Daryl Stewart. Check him out on iamdarylstewart.com. Good evening, Daryl.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm all right. How's everything? Daryl,
Everything.
I find you to be one of the young, talented stars on the rise. I had the opportunity to go to your play the Amen Corner, James Baldwin's
Uh
rendition,
huh.
and
Uh
I
huh.
just want you to let the people know something about your background.
Okay. Well, my name is Daryl Stewart. I was raised in Vauxhall, New Jersey. I was there all of my life. I went to Union Public Schools. I went to Connecticut Farms. I went to Central Five. I went to Union High School. And basically, growing up, I grew up in a big family. I'm part of the Stewart family, which a lot of people from Vauxhall may know. And I was always peculiar. I wasn't into the things that other kids my age were into. A lot of people now call me an old soul. So, you can imagine a little boy being more interested in reading than maybe playing basketball, or more interested in writing than playing video games. So that kind of made me a little bit that kind of ostracized me in a way, and I had to kind of create my own lane, which is exactly what I did. So I left Vauxhall in 2005. I moved to New York City. I went to a drama conservatory where you study just the dramatic arts. At the time, it was called the School for Film and Television, and I was interested in learning about storytelling. I had done the plays all through high school and middle school. I had begun to just really get immerse myself in the creative arts, and I wanted to learn more about it. So I went to this drama school and I attended their professional division, which is where basically kids or young adults who know exactly what they want to do, they go to the professional division. So it's all about training. We learn about script, how to break down a script. We learn about character development. We learn about what it takes to pursue a career as an actor. So after 2 years, that program was over, and I felt better about myself and my calling, but I still didn't feel like I had a good grasp on who I was. So I went to I asked my parents for their blessing to go to a black college. Now, as you can tell by my vernacular, the way that I present myself, I may not necessarily represent what you think of the very first time you think of a black man, right? So I'm kind of more polished, I'm a little more articulate, I'm, whatever. So I get to Benedict College, and it is like nothing I have ever seen before.
South Carolina.
There are every kind of black person that you can imagine is on this campus, right? It's like you got rich black people, you got poor black people. You had people whose parents were doctors. You had people who never ever met their parents. The experience was incredible. South Carolina is where a lot of my father's family is from. They're from Chester, South Carolina, and so I was in Columbia. So it really allowed me like an entry point to connect to my history and to my lineage in a way that I hadn't been able to before. Ultimately, I did not wind up staying. And the reason why I did not wind up staying is because my father and my mother did not think that the campus was safe, period. So there were shootouts. There was a lot of crime in the area. This is something that we experience a lot with black colleges. Unfortunately, they don't have the kind of endowments that other schools do. So they were like, "Listen, we didn't send you away to college to die, so you gotta come back." And so that's what I did. I came back. I began to work. My very first directing gig was at the high school. So the high school was doing The Wiz. They had just got a new director, and they were looking for a black person to add to the creative team because The Wiz is obviously a black musical,
Mhm.
and everybody on the team was white. So they added me. That's what started my journey as a director. I wound up transferring to New York University, which is where I really got a sense of myself as an artist and as an individual. And then that's where I kind of took it from. I took it from there. I started traveling regionally, auditioning. I do work in film and television as well, but the majority of my focus is on live performances, on theater. So I started a theater company called the Vanguard Theater Company, which is still in existence, along with a friend, Janice Freeman Clark, who is the other co-founder of that theater company. I've done everything from small, experimental, one-man shows to large, full cast, big style productions and musicals, and really everything in between. So that's like the Cliff Notes short version of who I am. But ultimately, I'm a Virgo. I'm David Lee and Garnett's, middle child, and I am an artist, a director, an actor, a singer, a storyteller, a writer, etc., etc., etc.
So what's the effect that James Baldwin had on your life?
Well, you know what's crazy is I didn't know who James Baldwin was. I had no idea. I had never heard Baldwin until I got out of Union, which I think is a whole nother conversation, Q, that we could have at another time. But it's just like, how did I, as a young black man, not know who James Baldwin was if this place was supposed to be educating me? It seems odd, right? So it wasn't until I actually left Vauxhall that I got sort of introduced to Baldwin and Morrison and Kincaid and Giovanni and Shange and all of these people who present in the world the way that I do. But James Baldwin is literally just a prolific sort of thinker. I call him a thinker because he's a person who was thinking about what life would be like for us now back in the day, right? Which makes him like a visionary and a thinker. His writing is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It applies to us right now. Like, how could this person who was living in the 70s, how were they able to predict that life would look like it does for us now? Is very, very interesting to me. So I'm a big James Baldwin fan. And like you said, when the Township of Union approached me about doing something live for the township, a play in particular, that was my first choice, James Baldwin. And the reception was wild. It was crazy. People were doing everything trying to get a ticket. Like, there was no seats. It was unbelievable. And that just goes to show you that, it's not that we don't want it. It's that you have to be exposed to it. You don't know what you like and what you don't like, or what is going to be a blessing to you until you can actually be exposed to it in a way that is conducive to learning. So I was very, very pleased with that production and the production that we were able to do last February, Simply Simone, based on the life of Nina Simone as well. But that is a huge part of what I do. I like to use theater and the arts to educate people, because if we're not educating each other, we're not liberating each other. So that's really what it's all about for me.
So what are you doing? What were you doing with NJ Pack? I know a minute ago you was doing some stuff down at the Pack. What
Still
were you
at
doing?
NJPAC.
You still
I'm,
there?
I'm still at NJPAC. I'm what you call an artist in residence, and I have been there working for them for the past. This will be my 10th year. So
Wow.
that's my job, if that makes sense. Even though it's not like a 9 to 5 where I type at a desk, it's that's where my W-2s literally come from, right? So they send me out to teach, to write, to speak, to create programs. Right now, I'm working on a script that introduces Black and brown kids to musical theater. So it's an original script that I'm writing right now. They're paying me to do that. So they're the ones who kind of keep food on my table and support my artistry so that I could do some of the other things outside of it. So this year I'll be teaching a class, a Saturday class at NJ called Write Your Own Musical, which is for ages 10 through 18. They'll be able to come and take a class with me where I teach them how to write a scene, how to write a song, how to perform, and then we'll share it and perform it at the end of this Saturday class, as well as the Disney musical program, which is a collaboration that I take the lead on with Disney Theatrical Group and NJ where I go into schools and introduce kids to Disney musicals.
So what are your thoughts with being where we're from and being and we weren't exposed to like theater per se, even though we were so close to Maple Milburn Playhouse, so forth and so on. Like what do you think happened while we weren't exposed to this type of stuff?
Well, it's expensive. It's expensive. A ticket to the Paper Mill Playhouse is going to run you at least 80, 70, $80 for a good seat. So ultimately, it comes down to access, which is why I like to work with governments or with towns and say, listen, I know that most of the people here cannot afford to pay $80 for a ticket. So if you bring me in, I'm willing to use my expertise to give them a theatrical experience that's not going to break the bank. That's why the tickets were no more than $5. And oftentimes, tickets to my shows are pay what you can or they're free altogether. And that's because I want more people of color to be exposed to theater. Now, I will say, we always had the Tyler Perry DVDs, whether they was the bootlegs or the real ones. We always had that. That is a form of theater. But there are other forms of theater, right? When we talk about more of the classics like James Baldwin, like August Wilson, and other, shows like Dreamgirls, The Wiz, The Color Purple, things like that. So I think it just comes down to money. There's a lot of people that I know that would love to take their family or love to take their kids, but unfortunately, it's just too expensive. And then the second thing is ignorance, because
Mm.
a lot of us don't really, when we think about what is a good night out, we think about a movie. But it's nothing like taking your loved one or taking your spouse or taking your children to the theater. The ripping of the ticket, when you get your popcorn, when you get your Twizzlers, and you sit down in a seat with other people, and y'all have a whole experience, a live experience. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like it. It's the most magical thing that you can do outside of going to church.
How do you how do you feel about actors that are able to take what they do off Broadway or either on Broadway and take it to the screen? Like Avery Brooks, Denzel.
Uh, I think that you got to do in this, what the field that I'm in is very competitive and it's very, very hard to make a living. So I think that you have to do what you have to do to take care of your loved ones and to make sure that you can survive. And so that's what actors do. The best actors are theater actors. But a lot of times they'll do reality TV, they'll do a TV show, they'll do a film because the pay is literally 10 times as much. So you might make $2,000 a week on Broadway, but if you're filming a TV show, you're making $10,000 a week, or you're making $20,000 a week. So that's why they do it. And I understand it. And I think that ultimately all representation is good.
Who would you like to work with on theater? Your
I
dream, your dream, your dream pairing.
would love to work with Denzel. I would love to work with Viola Davis. I would love to work with Jeremy O'Harris. He's a new playwright. He wrote a play called Slave Play right now. I don't know if you heard of it, but it's big.
Yeah.
Everybody's been talking about it. I would love to work with Cynthia Erivo, who was in The Color Purple. She did Harriet the movie as well. There's so many dope storytellers, and there's some who aren't famous who I would like to work with, like Camille A. Brown, like George C. Wolfe, who wrote The Colored Museum. He's still alive. He still directs. He's still writes. Like I would love to be mentored by him or to work with him, and even Tyler Perry. And I know he's kind of controversial, but I would love to work at Tyler Perry Studios or be under the tutelage of Tyler Perry to see how it is that he creates the magic that he does, because it's not easy. So anybody who makes a living at it, I would love to work with. But that's just the name
That's
of
good. So what's this year? What's this year looking forward to? What you got on the horizon this year?
I am directing a production of Frozen, you know, the Disney musical Frozen. I'm also working on a short film that I wrote. It's untitled right now, but we just started the casting process. And this is the first film that I've ever written. So we're looking forward to produce that and film that in February and in March. And then you'll see me. I'm going to start going to film festivals. I'll start. I plan to go to ABFF, to up to Martha's Vineyard for the African American Film Festival, and to Toronto for the International Film Festival. So you're going to see me kind of take a pivot a little bit, and you're going to start to see more content for the screen, more digital stuff, more stuff for the screen. I'm still going to always do theater, but I'm just setting my foundation on and hopefully maybe even some TV stuff. So I can't really talk about that because I'm still in the process of auditioning and callbacks, and but I'm very much so sitting in front of and performing in front of television executives and film executives. So hopefully something will come through for me.
Do you ever see yourself doing documentaries?
I would love to do a documentary about teaching artists and the work that we do in the community. So maybe one day.
Well, man, I'm glad you could join me, man. It's been like a hit and miss. Last couple months, we've been trying to catch up to each other, man.
Yes.
And
And I appreciate you for the invitation and for inviting me. It's just I'm doing everything myself. I don't have no assistants. I don't have any. Everything is me. Everything that you see, everything that I'm working on. So it gets hard sometimes to juggle all these different things that I got going on. But I appreciate you for inviting me onto the show.
yeah, not to brag. I think we have a very very talented town that we're from to be so small, and
Yeah,
I believe that a lot of people just aren't getting the exposure that they need to get, and certain things that happen, and all of us, I believe, definitely you guys who are creating the content that I'm able to present, you
right.
guys, it's about to happen. Somebody is about to hit that golden jackpot, man, and it's gonna make
It's
everybody look
happening.
good. Yeah.
It's happening, but it takes time and it takes money and it takes consistency. And so there's people from our town. Some of my friends that I went to high school with, they've been on television. They've done national tours. My friend Kyle, my friend Romainson, these guys, they are known in the arts world. Zodi, Jaleesa Norton, who I went to high school with, she's in the musical Tina Turner from Vauxhall, walked to the high school, performed at the high school. She's now on a major platform, right? So it's happening. It's just you gotta watch it. You gotta watch for it. And also too, we need more people to uplift the young people and to uplift us and to highlight, like you are, the work that we're doing so that people know that we are doing it. We're not all just sitting around doing nothing. Some of us really are out here making I'll say shit, making things happen. So
Well, Daryl, I appreciate you, man, and thanks for joining. We're gonna be looking forward to what you got coming down the pipe, man.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. And happy Friday. Thank you for having me.
You too.
All right, take care.
Don't hang up.